Hello. I've been enjoying the new Overwatch Stadium game mode a lot. Uh, but I've been trying to see like what would be like a good build, preferably for console players, because I tend to play Genji a lot. I like to gain to main men. Yeah, I like to main Genji a lot. But the issue is that I noticed some of the strongest heroes for the Stadium game mode are Juno and Mercy. And the thing with Juno and Mercy is that they tend to be very they tend to be very mobile. And so it tends to be very difficult to hit them with Genji. Or like so the best way to sort of summarize like the strengths of Stadium is that tanks are really strong, they're really bulky, they have a lot of health, and if the supports are mobile enough that they, barely get hit, and if they're, you know, if they never died, then those tanks are never going to go down. So I think, especially as a DPS player, your main priority should be going after the supports and to try to hit them. So I was trying to see like what is the best way to um to try to hit like these different supports, especially Mercy and Juno, because since they're flying all over the place, it's difficult to hit them with like any of the DPS heroes. And sure, you can have like Ashe's ult, Cassidy's ult, which are good for targeting like the support characters, but the thing is, I don't like relying solely on your ult for strength. So I like playing as a hero where you can rely on like the regular abilities. So it's not just like, oh, I'm just building my ult, and then
I've got you in my
when I
sights.
finally pop my ult, then I finally have value.
For everyone.
And then now, when you when you don't have your ult at all, then you're kind of useless. I don't like that sort of play style. I actually prefer where you don't have to rely on your ult and you mainly rely on your regular abilities. So I ended up finding a really good build for Soldier that I think is especially good for console players who are just having a lot of difficulty, like where they're like, if you're like someone who's like played some games of Stadium and it's like, oh my god, the Mercy is just like flying like crazy throughout the arena and no one's able to hit her at all. Like this, they never get punished like the Mercy or the Juno or the other supports that have like really high mobility. So I think this build for Soldier will definitely help in dealing with that. So first, let's go over the powers. Soldier actually has like a bunch of really good powers, and he has good powers for his biotic field, which help him to sustain a lot. But I don't think it's really worth going for his biotic field powers, considering that there's a lot of good like survival perks you can get for Soldier. And honestly, uh, like if you get late into a game, I think you only need two survival perks, which I'll get into a bit later. So what I like to focus on when I'm playing Soldier is I like to focus on his Helix rocket, on both Helix Rocket and Tac Visor, which is his ult, but without actually using your ult. So, so whenever I play as Soldier, the usually the order I like to go is first. I like to go with the double Helix first as my first power. And so the double helix makes it so that you fire a second homing rocket that deals 70% reduced damage. And so even though it's really nice to rely on that homing rocket, it's obviously, you want to make sure you try to hit both rockets. And so if you have like a Mercy that's flying or something, it's like, oh, you might miss her, and it's like, hit this, and then one will hit her at least, and then you
Bite the bullet.
try to like finish her off with like your pulse rifle. But like I mentioned, you want to try to hit both rockets as much as possible.
I'm on fire.
So see like the damage like is completely different.
There are no sides out here.
because like at first I thought it wouldn't be that much of a difference, but you need to also remember that you're hitting 2 rockets instead of 1, and so instead of just 70 damage, you're doing 170 damage,
You're going home in a box.
which is a huge difference. And so if you're able to hit both rockets onto a Mercy, then you can like quickly finish her off, or Juno or any other supports. And so that's like a good one to start with at first. Then after that, I like to go with Supervisor, which essentially after you use your Helix rocket, you activate Tac Visor for 0.75 seconds. So this is really good if you're using like Helix rocket a lot. Even if you miss with a rocket, you hit like, you'll be likely to hit with the second rocket. And if they're low health, you can finish them off with Tac Visor. And 0.75 seconds doesn't sound like a lot, but trust me, like you can actually, you'll be surprised like how many confirms you'll be able to get. Because a lot of times when I'm playing Stadium, I'm thinking like, oh, like, you know, I'm getting someone and they're at low health, and it's like they managed to survive with just that low health, and it's like, I just need like 1 or 2 more hits to get that confirmed, but they managed to escape. That also happens with Genji a lot, where Genjis tend to like they, you know, dive in, they try to go in for big damage as well. And by the way, this build is not only going to be useful for dealing with supports, but also dealing with like fast mobile DPS heroes like Genji. And I'll also get a bit later into like how you can also optimize this to go against tanks, especially Ryan or Orisa, but also to deal with the other tanks as well when we get into the weapon perks. And so, usually, yeah, in the games that I played, I go like, you know, if I go against a Genji, they try to go in. They try to go in with like big damage, but if you do a lot of damage to them, they'll try to deflect, they'll try to dash out, they'll try to, you know, jump, double jump, or even triple jump, because triple jump is an ability Genji can gain in this game mode. And so they'll try to get out, and then it's like, I just need like 1 or 2 more hits to get them. So Supervisor will help to make sure that you can finish off and confirm those kills. So like,
You picked the wrong enemy.
so just having like not even a second, 0.75 seconds extra is like enormous for confirming that. So then after the second power, I usually like taking Cratered for the third power. Because already with double Helix, you're firing 2 rockets, which you're dealing 170% damage, both rockets combined. Now with Cratered, you increase the Helix rocket explosion radius by 40%, and explosion damage by 25%. So not only is that going to help you land both rockets, but it's also going to increase the damage by 25%. And I believe it's for, it increases 25% for both, so that's like 125 plus 195. So you're doing more than like 200% damage if you hit both rockets. So
Heat check.
I don't know
Affirmative.
if I hit that correctly, if I missed, but yeah, something like that. And yeah, and as you notice, like you get your cooldown really quickly for Helix rockets. So this is something that you can rely on a lot. I wouldn't recommend solely relying on Helix rocket, but it is definitely a good tool to use. So for the fourth power, honestly, it could be anything that, you know, whatever your preference is, because it's usually quite rare to get to round 7 to get all 4 powers. But what I found tends to be my favorite is Man on the Run, because I haven't gone over this yet. But another thing that's really useful in this build, something that I try to prioritize in this build, is to try to make sure I have as much max ammo as possible, to have like a large magazine size. So with Man on the Run, while you sprint, you restore 10% of your ammo every 1 second, increase your max ammo by 10% until you reload. So that one's really good for like if you're like coming like out of spawn, like if, let's say like if you died, you're trying to rejoin the fight, then you'll have like this huge like benefit in that like you won't have to like reload because you're just running. If you see in the bottom right, my magazine size is growing like a lot, and so And this also helps because let's say like you die and it's like, oh, I don't wanna pop my ult. You know, I want to save it for the next fight. So then you come out of spawn, you're running, and then it's like, oh, then now I have a lot of ammo. So now I finally pop my
I've
ult.
got you in my sights.
Double, triple kill.
Enemies in disarray.
I got like all 4 of those robots, and I didn't have to reload. So yeah, so it definitely helps sustain your damage throughout the fight. I'm just gonna get rid of all this ammo so that I can get like back to the the normal ammo amount. Um, and so yeah, and so I think that's for the powers. For the perks, when you start, I suggest like at the beginning. I don't think Soldier really needs a lot of survival because like his biotic field
Fields online.
like helps in sustaining him a lot. So I think like in the first round, I don't think you don't really need to spec into a lot in survival. For ability, I would go for ability power. And then for weapon, like I mentioned, go for the max ammo, and then I would go for weapon lifesteal because having like lifesteal I think helps so that you don't have to put too much in survival, but you're still able to sustain yourself. So even if you take a lot of damage, you can still like
That
be
warms
able
the
to
bones.
like regenerate yourself a bit. Right, and so let's see how much damage.
KIA.
So even with just the 5%, sorry, the 10% bonus from Power Playbook, it like has like a drastic effect, and that's what I recommend for the first round. Then for like the next round, if you're starting to go for rares, uh, let me see. I think it depends. If like you started and you're doing like really good damage, like your team won the first round or the first 2 rounds, and you feel like you're doing well and like you don't need to focus that much in survivability, then I would highly recommend going for Pulse Converter. It increases your attack speed, cooldown reduction for your Helix rocket, and it also has the special effect that when you use your Helix rocket, you store 20% of your ammo. And this is why we're going for the increased max ammo size, going for that sort of build, so that if you have like a larger magazine size, then you'll restore even more ammo with this. So I would highly recommend going for that. And even like when you get to like the later rounds, like around 4, 5, 6, even 7, I still keep Pulse Converter because it's just a really good ability. Um, so I recommend that. But if you are struggling, like let's say there's like a really good Genji on the enemy team, and you've been like you're just dying to the Genji a lot, I highly recommend Vitality, where you convert 100 health into armor. And so having that extra 100 armor is like a real nice cushion to make it more difficult for like the enemy Genji to like confirm a kill on you, because Genji like can be really strong if the enemy Genji can get like their confirms their and they can confirm their kills. So having that extra armor on can definitely make it more difficult. Um, for the Genji to confirm a kill on you. That gives you more time to heal yourself. And like normally, Vishkar Condenser, which converts 100 health into shields, is better on some heroes. But because Soldier is able to heal himself
Heals coming up.
with the biotic field, I feel like it's more beneficial to heal, to like restore armor than shields. So yeah, so it really depends. I would say like preferably what you want to go for, like, oh yeah, so in the second and third round you want to go for stockpile, where you increase your max ammo and attack speed. Then when you get to like the last rounds, you then go to the upgraded version of that, which is the commander's clip. And it also has the special effect. Whenever you use an ability, restore 10% of your max ammo. And so that combined with Pulse Converter, you're gonna have like a really large magazine size, and you're gonna be restoring a lot of that ammo. so you're not gonna have to like reload as much, which is really nice. So I would say like I think I'll finish it off with sort of like what perks do you want to have like in the later rounds? Like what do you want to end up with? So ironically, I noticed that when I'm playing, a lot of the other either perks or the powers that I get help increase the damage of the Helix rocket so much that I actually don't get anything in ability. I like leave this empty. If you want more sustain, this helps like with the biotic field duration, but I don't really like using the biotic field that much unless I need to. Um, this one's good for like knocking yourself up into like other areas, but since we're focusing the Helix rocket for damage, then I don't feel like that's really all that necessary. Endgame equalizer is pretty good, but like I mentioned, I don't really like to rely on my ults that much. Um, so like if you want to run this, like this can definitely be helpful, but I usually don't go for that or rapid response radius. So what I usually go for in like in the end game, like round 4 or 5 and up, for survivor for survival, I go for vitality and phantasmic flux. Now, Phantasmic Flux is really good because it boosts weapon power and ability power, but also gives you weapon lifesteal and ability lifesteal. So just increases like your overall damage, and it also gives you lifesteal. So this gives you a lot of sustain. So I think Phantasmic Flux and Vitality, I think this is really all you're gonna need for like the later rounds, because you'll have like a nice like 100 armor, and you'll have lifesteal, and also you can get overhealth if you can get overhealth if you gain lifesteal while at full health. And so for the weapon perks, I like to go with Pulse Converter and Commander's Clip. And now what I want to go for at the end here is like how do we deal with tanks, because tanks can be quite powerful in this game mode, especially Ryan. I've been seeing a lot of Ryan players, especially on console. There's a lot of Ryan players, and they tend to have like a lot of armor. So what I like to do for the weapon, I like to put on Shield Buster. And Shield Buster, I think it's a really good perk. It's a really good ability, regardless of what tank you go up against. Because something you'll notice in this game mode is that a lot of heroes, even heroes who aren't tanks, like they like to put on. You'll go up against people who like to put on shields, armor. They might like put on a perk that gives them like a little bit of health, a little bit of shields, or a little bit of armor. And so what this does with Shield Buster, after you deal damage to someone who has shields or armor, you gain 15% attack speed for 1 second. It doesn't matter if they have like, where is it? The, yeah, it doesn't matter if they have like a little bit of armor or shields, like, if they have like the common like armored vest or first aid kit, even if they have like a little bit, this is gonna activate. The Shield Buster is gonna activate, and then you're gonna gain that like 15% attack speed. And considering like how large your magazine size is, this is gonna dish out like a lot of DPS. It's gonna really help you take out those tanks, and even help you take out some other like either DPS or support heroes who have like armor or shields. And then for the final perk, I like to choose one of these three, and it honestly depends on what tank you're going to get up against, and also what that tank likes to do. Like for example, I like to use these two against Ryan. Codebreaker, you ignore 50% of armor's damage reduction, and Salvage Slugs, you deal 30% increased damage to barriers. So if you're playing a game and you're going up against Orion, and you're noticing like his barrier is being destroyed really quickly, but it's taking forever to actually confirm like eliminating the Rhine, then I would highly recommend Codebreaker. But if you're going up against Orion, and it's actually not that difficult to take out the Rhine, but it takes forever to to destroy the Ryan's barrier, then take salvage slugs. Or like even if you're not going up against Ryan, if you're going up against like Orisa, if you're going up against Orisa, Codebreaker is still really good. If you're going up against a tank who doesn't necessarily have like barriers or armor, like if you're going against Junker Queen, then instead I would recommend Volskaya Ordnance, where you deal 5% increased damage for every 100 max life the target has more than you. So I like using this against tanks who don't have barriers or armor like Junker Queen. So let's do an example here. So let's say I'm going up against Orion. My team and I are doing a really good job taking down the Ryan's barrier, but the Ryan himself like is just soaking up all this damage because of all the armor he has. So we'll put on Codebreaker, and then we'll just do our best to take down the Ryan. I think we'll try without the Helix rockets.
Check.
Yeah.
Affirmative.
Even without the Helix rockets, like it's insane. And I think preferably what you want to do with this build, especially if you have the pulse converter and commander's clip, is like you want to shoot, like you want to get rid of a lot of your clip, and then you want to use your Helix rocket so that you can restore all that ammo. So I'll show an example here. So we'll shoot a Helix.
Out of my way or I'll run you over.
I got all my ammo back. Did you see that? It was like I still have. Okay.
Get out of my face.
So that time it didn't restore all my ammo, but it almost did. So let's try to get it to low. We have one bullet.
Tactical termination.
So it gives you like roughly half of your max ammo. So I like to empty out like half my clip and then go for the rocket. And then you could shoot forever. Then by the time you need to reload, just continue shooting. So it's, yeah. And as you can tell, like I got a lot of overhealth there from the utter power, the Phantasmic Flux, so that helps a lot with that. So yeah, so and like if you get to round 7 and you have men on the run, then you know on the last round you're never gonna run out of ammo. So let's do that example, because remember, it restores ammo based on your max ammo basically. It's percentage based, not number based. So if I have like, you know, 84 rounds, then it's gonna give me like roughly half of that. So I can shoot like 40 or 50, and then I'll get all that ammo back. So let's just
The bones.
let's go through one clip like that, and then we'll do half, and then we'll shoot. 84. Got 84 back. Well, not 84 completely, but like. You can almost get all your ammo back.
Smithereens.
Yeah, so basically that's how it works, and like. And if you want to get like the, wait, let me move right here. Let me give the ammo back. So I think it was 84 is the max. Yeah. So, and if you're not having any problems going after supports that are very mobile, and if you just want to focus on like on that build where essentially you never have to reload, then you can get men on the run earlier, and then every time you come out of spawn, you just keep on running and you get like you increase your max ammo like crazy. And you do that with you combine that with commander's clip, pulse converter, and then you can essentially have like, because really all you need Yeah, all you need really is just the man on the run, commander's clip, pulse converter, and when you come out of spawn, you'll have 84 ammo, and you'll essentially almost never have to reload. So you can just do it like this. Then if we look at my cooldown, I already have. Still not reloading. Still not like. I keep on going back to 74. Isn't that insane? I went to 71 there, but you almost never have to reload with that if you choose man on the run. If you choose man on the run with commander's clip and pulse converter, you almost never have to reload. So then you can like, you know, mix that in with supervisor, so that you can get those like extra like confirmed hits with your pulse rifle. But then you can also like deal with like you can add like the power of your Helix rocket as well. So I think depending on like the game that you're having, if you want to focus, I would say like focus on whatever you want to do first. If you want to focus on rockets first, then I would suggest going double helix, supervisor, cratered, and then man on the run. If you want to focus on like just never having to reload, then I would focus on like man on the run, supervisor, double helix, and then cratered. And then to go with these perks. And then before I end it, I want to just show a quick example of like, let's say for example, we go up against, instead of Orion, where I use Codebreaker, go against a junk queen. So I'll use Volskaya Ordnance.
Fire.
It's just insane, just the damage. That's not even with crits, by the way. So you definitely want to try to go for crits. But yeah, if you're going up against Junker Queen, then definitely use Sky Ordnance. And let's see, let me just double check who else we got. Because we got, yeah, Ryan Orisa, Junker Queen, Diva, and Zarya. So Diva also has armor as well, but the issue of Diva is that she's got her defense matrix, so that can mess with your synergy and like just, you know, holding down the trigger, just like constantly shooting. And with Zarya, so I would also go for Volskaya Ordnance. But even with Zarya, Shield Buster is like really good because Zarya has shields. Actually, because Zarya also has barriers. Her defensive barrier like bubbles that she makes. So usually you don't want to give her power, but if you find that you're like just mowing through her, like, you know, like your team's not getting steamrolled by Zarya, then you can definitely go for salvage slugs. But I think preferably this is the build I like to go for, just with these perks. But with the final one being like between Codebreaker, Salvage Slugs, and Volskaya Ordnance. So all three of those are good, and they give you a lot of DPS. So it's not only just increased mag size, but you're also getting boosts in other things, and like attack speed, weapon power, weapon power here again, and some more weapon power. So you'll end up dealing a lot of DPS with Soldier. And I think this is a really good build, a really useful build, especially for console players. To try to hit those. So this is really good for dealing with support players, support heroes that are just very mobile. Like it's very difficult to like, you know, to confirm eliminations on them, and like the enemy supports are just you know, just constantly healing and supporting your tanks, and the enemy tank is just steamrolling your team. So this is to make sure that like you're able to take down the tank by taking out the supports first, and making sure you have like the perks to also take down the tanks as well. So I would say like the only other thing to worry about is like the other DPS as well. So I think Supervisor is really good against like enemy like Genjis, because they like to jump around a lot. They tend to be very mobile. I would say for Ashe, just sort of closing in the distance, trying to make sure that, you know, that you're able to pressure the enemy Ashe a lot, hit them with the double helix, and to try to confirm eliminations. And then Yeah, with Cassidy, I think Cassidy because of like how much damage he deals, especially at closer range, and the crowd control he can use with his flashbang. It's definitely a good idea to go in like as a team against Cassidy, but also to play carefully. Try to bait his flashbang out and all that. I would say with me, sort of similar with Ash, like try to find like a good like middle range with her so that you're not like too far away where she can like hit you really hard with her icicles, but also not close enough that she can start like hitting you with her frost blast and all that. Yeah. And with Reaper, I would say like definitely always try to like bait his cooldowns. And if you see him like teleporting or going into Wraith, definitely try to hit Reaper like when he's vulnerable, like when he's coming out of teleporting or coming out of Wraith. And against enemy soldiers, just also trying to bait out his abilities, trying to get the enemy soldier to use their biotic field before you do, trying to find like better positioning and to just try to outplay enemy soldier. So yeah, sorry if the video is a little long, but I wanted to go sort of in depth with this because I haven't been able to find too many videos out there. I found some videos out there that helps with like guides about like what's the best builds and stuff for Stadium, but I haven't found a lot for specifically for console players. So I thought I'd make like a one that would help, especially considering that in the meta, the current meta for Stadium, um, like Mercy, Juno, Moira, very mobile supports are very strong, and also Ryan is also very strong on console because of all of his armor. So, having that Codebreaker and all these different damage and increased in mag size helps out a lot. So, yeah, that's it. Thanks.